and welcome back to Relive the Legacy. So throughout this series, I think one thing we realized is that AIESEC Sri Lanka has never been built by just one generation. Simply, every generation inherits a dream, they add something of their own, and then pass it on to the next. So then there are the people who make it what it is. Their friendships, stories, the challenges, and the decisions that they make become part of AIESEC Sri Lanka's story. So today, we are here to relive one of those stories with two chaotic alumni. So, Bhagya and Lishani, welcome to the podcast. Okay, so I can actually do like a common, like my day-to-day normal introduction of you, but I think it would be more fun and interesting if you all introduce each other. So, anyone want to start?
Okay, so this is Bhagya. He is very chaotic. But on top of everything, I think we can call him as the jack of all trades because he's actually good at entertaining people in every possible way. He can dance, he can sing, he can act, he can entertain people, and the best part is that he likes when people talk about all the good things about him. So yeah, that's Bhagya, and he's actually good at working as well. So that's why he's here, obviously. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lishani, for a wonderful introduction. If I talk about Lishani, I would say she's the life of party. Everyone knows that. Everyone wants her to be all the parties, all the gatherings. She's the center of attention wherever we go. She wants so much attention when we talk about things, when we go around. I would say she is someone who will eventually get to know everything that is happening in anyone's life. So we call her find out logist. That's what she wants to call her as well. So she gets to know everything and anything possible that is going on everyone's life.
Yeah. That's totally true. It's in a way sort of scary as well. Okay, so I know that you guys are like sort of best buddies as well as I heard apparently you can read each other's mind and like finish each other's sentences. So I'm really curious to know whether you guys actually knew each other before you joined AIESEC?
Not really. Yeah, both of us from Candy, but we didn't know each other that day.
So what was the first interaction? How did you first meet and what was the first impression like?
The first time we met was at NPC, that's the National Planning Conference, back in 2021. And the first impression about him was again him being an entertainer because there was this Aududu Kumari contest there. Every entity had their Aududu Kumari in the pageant or whatever it is called. And his local entity, which is AIESEC Colombo South, had Bhagya as the Aududu Kumari. So that I knew that he was entertaining, and that was my first impression about it.
I won the competition anyways.
Okay. Statement. And what's your first impression of you?
It was we didn't know Lishani back then a lot, but she was someone who get highlighted anyway. She's someone who knows all the jives. So back then 2021, right after COVID, most of the LCVPs they didn't know all the jives, all the rules, all anything. We just look at the videos and we done. But she's one of those people, I think very rare people right now in AIESEC in this era who know most of the jives. So she got highlighted through that for me. That was my first impression about her. Okay, she's very much of so much of energy, so much of life in basically. Yeah.
So I know both of you all had like quite a nice journey. So when you first joined AIESEC, what was like? Did you all know that your journey would turn out like this? So what was it like, Lishani?
Okay, for me, no. Because when I was a member, when I was a team leader, I was always scared of taking up big roles. I didn't know that I wanted to apply for LCVP role or anything beyond that. But I think in the back of my mind, I knew that at some point I'll get the confidence to apply to be the LCVP in AIESEC Colombo Central. But all the other roles that I took, LCP, MCVP, and then AIGB manager, all of them happened gradually. So the decision was made gradually. That was based on the people I associated, the work that I had to do, the culture I saw in this organization, the changes I wanted to make in this organization or in that specific entity. It all happened gradually. So I joined AIESEC back in 2019. Me in 2019 wouldn't believe that I ended up as the AIGB manager. So it was not planned at all.
So it went very gradual.
It was very gradual.
It's common to most of the people. In AIESEC, I don't think we plan out our journey. When we get into the organization, I don't think we plan out to become LCVP or MCVP. That's not how we start the journey. So for me also, I was doing road track back then in 2019. I joined uni 2020, and right after when I got into the uni, I wanted to join an organization which was not growth tracker. So I wanted to join AIESEC. So I joined AIESEC, was going with the flow. From my school days, I had the desire to lead teams, lead organizations. That I had the desire within me. But for me, when I looked up to those people back then, or the CVP, maybe the LCP back then, I wanted to become compared to Lishani, I wanted to be the president of someone. But other than that, I was not plan. I didn't plan anything. I didn't plan to become an MCVP or to do a congress, to do conference in across with all the countries coming to Sri Lanka. That was not anyone's plan, I would say. So it just for most of the AIESECers and almost everyone, it's a decision that we take when we go through the journey. It's a matter of, as Lishani mentioned, it's a matter of people that we work with, it's a matter of the work that we do. So it's a decision that we take with the flow.
So is there like a moment that or a person who inspired you, or simple turning decision, turning point in your life, in our journey that made you apply for a particular position? Because in AIESEC it's about applying for things and somehow you're going for that, right? So was there a moment like that actually changed everything?
I would say not specific. There are a couple of people when we got into AIESEC, when we members, we actually see all LCVPs as in single we call the you. We see them as God of AIESEC, okay, unreachable, oh my god, they do this and that, they can talk so much of fancy words. We are afraid when we look at elections and all of that, we are, oh my god, they're pretty confident, we don't have that confidence. But when we go to that position, we understand, okay, that's how you come. When you go through the process, when you from a member position to LCVP to LCP, and you go through the process, you will get all those experiences. Definitely, those people, when I was a member, the people that I worked with, all the LCVPs from AIESEC back then, the LCP, the people that we closely work with, those people definitely inspire me to become or to go through the entire journey for me. To a specific example would be my LCP role, I would say, which is this role that we have to take up, and it's more of empowering generations that is going to come up. So that was a role I would say was a defining role to me in terms of entire AIESEC journey.
Yeah, so in my case also, I would say that there were so many people that inspired me all throughout my journey. From each role to another role, there has always been certain people, mostly my predecessors, I would say. So when I was LCVP, my LCVP predecessor. When I was LCP, my LCP predecessor. So they have been inspiring me so much, and it was mostly their influence that made me apply to certain things as well. But then again, just like Bhagya mentioned, the turning point for me was also the LCP role, because when you're an LCP, when you're an MCP, when you're a P, there is no one leading you, right? You're the one who is leading the rest of the people. And there are 13, 14 other people reaching out to you. And that is really challenging. And then again, I need to mention about elections as well. Everyone who has gone through the election process knows how challenging it is. Before doing that, it seems impossible, right? Because what my parents see how I get ready for elections. What they say is, this is what we need in this country when appointing a leader in the country, right? And the country will be in better places. So that is what my parents mostly say. So it's really challenging. But now when I look back at it, I feel that it's a privilege to go through those hardships, challenges, and all of that. So I think in different places in this AIESEC journey, there have been different milestones. There have been different turning points in multiple ways that actually helped me, and I think it helped the organization as well. So yeah, that's how it is.
So I think in that journey, of course, it's always not really nice and the best thing, right? So was there a moment where actually started doubting yourself, whether you're in the right path or whether you're doing the right thing? So being a story like that.
Yeah, so for me, again, it was the LCP role, because there are so many doubts coming during my LCP term. Because, like I said before, there is no one leading you, right? There are people to guide you, there can be people to advise you, but there is actually no one leading you. There is no one to tell you this is what you have to do. Right? They can say these are the options, but they don't give you the right path. Right? That's what a hero looks like. So there have been enough and more times throughout those 12 months that I doubted myself. There were days that I wanted to leave this. There were days that I wanted to end my AIESEC journey. I knew that LCP was going to be the last role. There were days like that. But I don't know, it didn't last for a very long time. It has been there for maybe a day or two, but then you come out of it. Because in the end, after you come through all these challenges, hardships, or whatever you go through, you end up doing something good. Your team ends up doing something good. Your entity ends up doing something good. And that brings a lot of satisfaction and a lot of fulfillment to you. So although there were enough and more times that was doubtful, it was always something fruitful in the end.
So we can relate.
Yeah, I think both me and Lishani, we were in the same president commission, we were in the same era as president. So it was common to both of us. Really, it was an era that we had to transform the entire operations. So it was right after COVID, everyone started doing events. Then we wanted to start move to operations once again. So it's a transition period for both of us. So I think I'm not saying in general all the all the president roles are pretty hard, but I would say that our roles were way more harder compared to any of them because it was a transition period. We had to move from events to operations while doing both of that. So we had to do events at the same time we had to do operations. It was quite a bit of hardship that we had to go through. For me also it was the point or the journey that I had to go through was not doubt at myself. I would say it was in general in my life, it was my lowest point in life too. It was that hard to go through the experiences because there was no one that actually we can't reach out to because it's a role that everyone can depend from us, but there's no one that we can go and talk to. There maybe one or two people, but we don't get answers, we don't get anything. We just go around and vent out about whatever that we are going through. But most of the time, we have to take care of people that we work with. It's a big entity. We put a part of the entity that was most of the people actively participating in a lot of stuff. At the same time, it's a big entity that we had to handle. So the hardship or the journey that we had to go through was unimaginable at some point. So it was a good experience, I would say, at the end of the day. Yes, we had a lot of hardship, a lot of challenges that we had to go through, but we were happy when we ended it. Both of us, completely. For me, I didn't want to continue AIESEC right after my SCP role. I was thinking, this is my last role. I'm done with AIESEC. Okay, I have done enough to the organization. I have gained a lot from the organization. This will be my final goal. And with the experiences, this is okay. I'm done. That was my intention too. I think it was similar to her as well. Everything's changed.
One thing I want to add to that is about the transition period. We went from virtual to physical, right? So both our entities had 200 plus members, and none of the people knew what a physical exchange looked like. None of the people knew what a physical event looked like. It was sometimes just the president, not even the EB knew what a physical LDS looked like, what a physical IGB exchange looked like. It was just the president who had seen it because they joined in 2019, 2020, early 2020. So that was like the most challenging part, I would say, to make sure that the EB and the membership is, adapting themselves from virtual to physical. Because the complaints that we had to go through, how we had to deal with the BD partners when it comes to deliverables and all of that was massive compared to the virtual scenario. So yeah, I think, like he said, the transition was actually very, very challenging.
It was like a world that we had to build that we have never seen.
So it's like you all had the vision of it and you all had to translate it to your team and all.
It was mostly the president who had a little bit of understanding. For me, it was different. Lishani was joined in 2019. I joined in 2020. It was virtual for me to begin with. So she has seen at least something. Most of our generation as presidents, most of them, even the presidents, have never seen this sort of AIESEC. It's completely different culture, it's completely different operation system that was there back then. So it was a world that we had to build, and that was the foundation. Whatever that we are seeing right now in all the entities, that was the foundation, that was the era in 2022, 2023, those 2 years would be the foundation that all the entities had to build. That for drive AIESEC in Sri Lanka in terms of operations and a different culture, a different system to operate.
So that was like the new beginning of this era that you're seeing right now.
Yeah.
So was that the time period where you all could become at the same time? Like LCD role?
That was the beginning.
That was the start, we would say. Like, we were not close, but then I think compared to most other fun stories, we do, but we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think we should talk about all of that. But yeah, there were moments when as one commission when we go out and we got first time was there was the president summit that we
That was before term started.
yeah before
By the
term
way,
started.
yes.
So we started because we have so much of mutual friends that we got to know on the day because we are both are from Kandy and we had so much of people that I know you, I know this guy, I know this girl and all of that. We started sharing so much of memories from our school days. That's how we actually got connected. Then we started talking about AIESEC, things that we do and all. Most of all it's about life I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was I think the connection started because the conversation that we had about our school and Kandy and all of that. So the bond it was from being from Kandy.
Connection point is Candy.
Kandy, I would say, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So after your LCP roles, you all went into EMC, right? So I would like to know what actually inspired you, although that you had some doubts, but actually what inspired you to get to the MC. Also, what was it like when you joined MC? What was the support that you all had from the previous MC? And you guys were involved with it because you were playing a role of LCP, right? You had that. And they had played it nicely laid out for you all to continue that journey, like continue that foundation. What was done right?
Yeah. So I'll start with first part. Why I wanted to join MCS. So yeah, because as I mentioned, I didn't want to continue AIESEC right after my LCP term. One thing that I wanted to change was because whatever that we had to go through as presidents, what I was saying to my team also, this is a university student doesn't deserve this much of pressure, this much of challenges at this level. So I wanted to change how we operate. I wanted to change the system basically. We call system change. I want to bring that change behavior to the organization. So that was my intention to start with. I would say it's a very another chaotic experience or whatever that you call it. This was so when we do our lead CS conference in CS back in February 2023. So this was my final session at the AIESEC. When I was walking to my session, that was the moment that I took the decision. Okay, I'm going to apply for MC just to change whatever the behavior, just to change whatever system. It was never about myself at all when I was applying to MC because I think until that point it was okay. I was winning awards, winning things, achieving things for the entity and all of that. But after some point in my LCP journey, also like about August to September, I thought I want to change whatever is going on. And February 2023 was when I was walking to my session at Leeds. That was the moment that I took the decision. Okay, I'm going to apply the MC to change how we operate. And you can talk about how the foundation is built.
Yeah, so about the foundation now, we talked about our LCP term, right? But then the MC at that time had to do a lot as well when it comes to transferring from virtual to physical, right? So the MC before us, that is Carnival's MC, they had done it actually so well. They did it really well. The transformation, the transition, it was pretty smooth. And something that we have to understand is, in AIESEC, it's always a 1-year role, right? So you can't do all the changes that you want within 1 year. You have to do something in a way that the next generation has to continue. So whatever that Khanil's MC had done, that is the MC before us, MC 22, 23, yeah, 22, 23. Whatever that they had done in a way that we can continue from there. Like, we didn't have to start things from scratch. We didn't have to, completely cut off things that they had done. Because what they did actually had made sense for us to continue and for the future of IIT. So I think they have done a pretty good job. I don't think we have talked about it enough, but we're actually very, very grateful for that. So yeah.
Yeah, so all this funny, yeah.
Okay, special mention. Thank you. All right. So then, when you joined your time, like your term, I think that was the time I also got the chance to engage a lot with AIESEC, and I saw you on as well. So I saw one thing was that the bond they all had. So we had to talk about that bond, the team, and what was it like during that time period, and how we all did this whole transformation. How you all brought your own energy and that soul to that AIESEC Sri Lanka chapter. And
I think for both of us,
it was the best.
Yeah, it was the best experience that we have been part of in AIESEC. I think 7 years. Yes. 7 years. First, it's 7 years for me. It's 6 years in AIESEC. If we talk about all these things that I've been through, the MC experience was the highlight, the best experience, the experience that we want to go through again. Because it was more. It's not just about AIESEC. It's not about work that we do. It's more about doing small things in life, cooking together, cleaning the house together, going out together.
Yeah. Laundry, grocery shopping, all of it.
Just small things that we did together. So it was more about living together as like 14, 15 people together in one house, sharing their normal day-to-day life, challenges, problems, relationships, all the breakups to what not. You name it, we have done it. Yeah. You name it, we had all. So it was an experience that we would talk about we can talk about the entire day because there are so much of moments that we have shared with each other, so much of memories that we share with each other. So yeah, that just was a highlight, I would say.
Yeah, so adding to that, it was about both work and life, right? So when you're in MC, you have a lot of things to do. But AIESEC in Sri Lanka, it's a part-time MC role. But I don't think any of us took it as a part-time role. We all had our full-time jobs, full-time academics or whatsoever. But then the moment we come to MC office, we make sure that we do our best, right? I think by the end of the term, everyone had given the best that they could. And for me personally, it was such a motivation, or it encouraged me so much to work because I saw the other people working as well. Now I come home, we call it home, BMC house, we call it home, we used to call it home back then. So I come home after work and then I see Bhagya and all the other MC people working in the room. I don't find I still have the energy to work because I see other people doing it. So that is in terms of work. And then in terms of life, just like Bhagya said, I don't know, we did so many things. We had karaoke nights, we had dinner, lunch in big salons, all seated around, eating together, chit-chatting, roasting each other. Like, we enjoyed the little things a lot. And I think what made it hard for us to end the MC term was we were definitely fulfilled of whatever we did, whatever we had to do as a team. But what actually stays with us is the life that we had there as people, not as AIESEC. As people, because that was the place that we saw each and every individual of the team as people, not as AIESECers. So I think that is something that stays with us forever.
So if you consider.
I was just telling about work also a little bit. For me, I have that food is wherever I go when I go for a session or any sort of a session in terms of AIESEC, I talk about my things as my most satisfying role. Because whatever that we plan, for me personally, whatever I plan to do within the term, all the operational change that I mentioned, I did everything that I wanted to do and did extra also. So it was pretty satisfying in terms of work and both life because it was people that we worked with and the impact that we were able to create. It was a complete shift from completely from events culture to a completely operational culture. We were not planning to do that. I think it was coming from our MCP Vinod. He was the one who started it and the entire MC got together and it changed. It was a complete shift in terms of operations, and he actually was able to do it. And we believe it was a beginning of a new era in terms of operations as well.
I totally agree because I can still remember the exchange marathon you all did, and I can remember how driven the whole LC, like so much of a competition there, but it was also really felt good. So I think we achieved the mission.
Not sure about how good we were with people because
people hated us. People hated me. Okay.
No, it was a complete shift. It was like you're changing the syllabus that we were used to. So it's no one likes change. I would say.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, people were comfortable. Okay, we do events. Okay, do operations. What is events? There's a sticker of mine saying stop doing pointless events.
Yeah.
I have seen there's sticker also me saying in a session stop doing pointless events.
I think I can remember that.
So what we are trying to say is. Not that like even before us, people were doing their own thing, right? The BDVP was working on BD, the IGVPs, they were working on IGV, marketing, they were working on IGV. But during term 23-24, I think everyone worked for exchanges. Everyone understood their role in exchanges. Because before that, I think mostly the back office VPs, they were doing their own thing. They didn't know how they could contribute to exchanges. But this was the term, maybe it was gradual, maybe it came from the previous generations, but this was the term that they all focused on exchanges.
One thing we really talk about is we gave clarity to their roles. We gave purpose. Okay, how a marketing VP, how a BD VP could act. into operations. Yeah, we connected all the dots that we also think we gave clarity to most of the roles that was there. So it was not just about operations. How an IGBVP and a BDVP can get together and talk about B2B operations. That's how the entire operations was managed during our term. We connected all the dots that we did at the beginning of the term also.
Alright. So just still talking about your IC term, I want to know whether there's like any particular story or like a chapter that you all added to the AIESEC Sri Lanka history. You all played a big role.
I think it was this, right? Bringing everyone together.
Yeah.
And I think it boosted with the exchange marathon maybe. Because like you mentioned, everyone was in it, right?
Yeah, I think one thing at the beginning of our term, so it was again right after some time that the physical conference started. So the international conference 2023 happened in India at there. So me, Lishani, and I think eight of us, then about 6 to 8 people went from AIESEC Sri Lanka to represent at AIESEC, and we wanted to be an international congress. We were supposed to get international congress. We got international congress 2019 with all the East attack and the other reasons we lost it. So AIESEC Sri Lanka has never done. We were established with an international congress in 1995. After that, we have never done an international congress. We so badly wanted to do a conference because operations happens with conferences. That's how we used to also. Back in the day, people have done exchanges and international congress.
Yeah. So one thing is, a conference is a place where you can do fast matching, right? That is where the VPs get together, they talk to others, and that is where you can expedite the process a lot, right? And with conferences, you bring leaderships to an entity as well. That helps an entity so much. I don't think, we might not see results instantly, but at some point it brings the results. So those are some of the biggest, those are the things that we don't see behind the conference that comes to your home entity. Right, so with that, I think we really wanted to bid for IC 2024. Yeah, IC 2024. But then talking about the good things, the bad things, the positives, the negatives, and all of that, we decided that we are going to shift it to 2025 because that was like the right timeline for us and for AIESEC International as well because that was like that.
That's a pretty good example to talk about. It's never about ourselves. We could have done it. We could have bid for 2024 and do it within our term and talk about it. But it was giving back to AIESEC Sri Lanka. It was never about at any point in our MC term. It was never about ourselves or our home entities. And another reason I think, apart from the clarity or the purpose that we given to all the roles, the change that we brought was the culture into, or maybe the thinking or the mindset. We were coming from different entities, but we never wanted to prioritize or do any favoration to our home entities. There was no difference. We had 10 entities. We went to all 10 entities and talked to the members and had the discussion with them and gave the same energy, gave the same clarity to everyone. So it was more about bringing everyone together, not just in terms of roles, in terms of entities together. The competition was there. The competition has to be there. At the same time, we wanted to build that collaboration in the entities. Talking about IC, why we wrote IC 2025 was to bring the exchange culture in. It was a big turning point to bring that entire culture.
Yeah, so adding to that, like he mentioned that it's not about us, it's about, the future of this organization, right? So like he mentioned, although we bid for IC in 2023, we knew that we were not going to do it during our term. It was for the future of AIESEC in Sri Lanka, right? So if we didn't bid 2 years before, we might not have done IC in Sri Lanka. And then he mentioned about the visits that we did. We visited all 10 entities and we did that during the last 2 weeks of our term. So the results that we get from those visits are not for us. It's for the future of AIESEC in Sri Lanka. So I think that is something that all the AIESECers should have in mind to make sure that they give their best even at the last minute, because whatever they do today can bring a lot of results in maybe 2-3 years, both positive and negative. Right? If you do something good, you get something good in 2-3 years. If you do something bad, you obviously get something bad. Like the consequences, not you, but your future generations will have to face. So I think that is a mindset that everyone has to keep in mind in AIESEC.
That's quite true. I guess that's the reason why we have been staying active and resilient for all these 30 years because of what previous people have done for our organization and all. So talking about so moving away from MC term to the next step that you all took. So we all went a bit of a different journey there, right? So Bhagya, what was that time period from MCVP role to the CCP of IC 2025?
Again, a role or a journey that I never planned to.
Okay.
So I'll begin with, so when I was in the MCVP role, as I mentioned, I want to change. The only reason I want to become the president of AIESEC Sri Lanka would be if I couldn't do the entire everything that I wanted to do, or maybe if I couldn't change the entire system, if there's something else that I could give back to, would be the reason for me to apply to become the president. And it was also another decision that I have to make is I'm done with my academics at that time, so it will be a career choice for me. Am I going to apply to become the MCP, or am I going to do completely shift to a career that I want to have? So I had a discussion with a couple of people that I know, most of the past MCP, my colleagues, everyone, and I wanted to become president. I took that decision. I applied to president, and I think it was only me from IMC who applied. So my entire MC and everyone, my entire MC and the people that I worked with had the backing, had the support for me to go through the process. But they gave all the support to me. So it was for me. I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be the president and something like that. But things didn't go as we planned, and I didn't become the president. And it was my first rejection in ISEC. That for the
First rejection,
yeah,
CMCP rejection.
yeah,
That's good.
That was my first. I never got rejections in even in an OC or a member question. Nothing. I applied for a question, I get that. Even the specific role, I applied for BD, I got the BD question. Something like that. So I was never used to rejection. So I was thinking with so much of confidence, okay, I'm going to pick up. It was from just one single word, but again, I got the rejection. So I was thinking, okay, this is it. Maybe this is it for me. For I said, I'm done with this. I'm done with the experience. I can happily end the journey. That's how it was. Then these guys, everyone from IMC, they wanted me to apply to become the Congress Committee President, which I had no idea about. What is this? I've never been to an international Congress before. I've never been to any international, and even for an Asia Pacific Congress, I've never been to international conferences. I was mostly working in bank offices. I was not got a lot of operations as well. So it was something different, but I love doing events. They know I've been in BD. I love doing events. I love planning. I love working with big teams. Since everyone from IMC, they wanted me to apply. Then we went to a conference in Asia Pacific, and I talked to a few other people from India as well. Back then, this MCP from India, he also, let's say, manipulated me and pushed me to apply to CCP, and I became the CCP. Which I'm pretty grateful to everyone who pushed me to it.
I'm glad that you did because I got to work with you as well. Okay. And then Lishani, I heard from a little birdie saying that you are apparently the first female person from AIESEC Sri Lanka who got selected to the AIT. Is it true?
I think so.
So tell us, what was that decision, making that decision and applying for that position?
Yeah. So after the MC term, I was also thinking that it was going to be it. I had no clue what I was going to do next. But then there was this big void. I wasn't used to not being an ISECer, right? And then I was so confused. I knew that I didn't even apply for MCP, so I knew that was not the choice.
I can relate to that.
What?
You're not used to.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So MCP was definitely not an option because I anyway didn't apply to it. But then I was considering if I should apply to be the CCVP HR of IC 2025. I even talked to Bhagya about it, and then I think you were confused about it too at some point. But then after a lot of discussion with my family, because my family is very supportive of ISEC. Okay, my parents are they support me when it comes to ISEC. So I had a lot of discussion with my friends, my colleagues, and I decided on my own. And then I finally thought that I should apply for ISEC International 2025, but it was a bit of a risk for me because I was an MCVP, and doing an MCVP role for just one term, doesn't mean that it's easy for you to get into ISEC International. Because in my team, it was all MCPs and the MCVPs who had done at least 2 or 3 MC terms. So I knew that it was a risk for me. But then again, this is something that I tell all the ISECers that I meet. I think it's good for you guys as well. You have to have a selfless reason and a selfish reason when you apply to ISEC roles, right? Because sometimes we always talk about giving back to the organization. It has given me so much, this and that. But no, you have to have a selfish reason when you go to the next step. You have to get something out of this as well. It's not only about you. It's not only about the organization. It's a give and take relationship, right? So in my case, since I was 5-6 years old, I always wanted to end up in Canada. I always wanted to go to Canada, work there, study there, live there, and all of that. And AIESEC International, the headquarters are based in Canada. So I thought, okay, there's nothing to lose. I can just try. And if I get selected, this is going to be like a jackpot. Right? That was my thought process. And then I knew that I wanted to make some changes in certain areas because I was mostly into operations. I was more biased towards exchanges ever since I started my journey because I was always in front office. So I knew the little loopholes or the little improvements that we wanted to have in exchanges. So I had that in mind as well. I definitely knew what I needed to give back to AIESEC, what I needed to do in AIESEC, but then again I knew that what I need to take out of this opportunity as well. Not maybe in terms of AIESEC, but for my personal life. So I think that actually paid off, and that opened me the path in Canada. So something, again, I can't stress on this enough, for each and every AIESEC a year, make sure that you're not being selfless about this. Make sure you get something out of this. Make sure you have a very valid, selfish reason for yourself as well. Because we know when you're taking up a role, you are definitely going to give your heart and soul to that.
Yeah.
That is constant.
So you need like a kind of selfish reason to keep you pushing and do
Yes.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with what she said because I think that's how you take a decision in terms of leaving the organization too. There's nothing that so you definitely add value to the organization when you go through the experiences. You come up with so much of experiences, skill, and everything. But if there's nothing that organization can give back to you, that's the point that you take the decision to, okay, there's nothing that there's nothing that I can get from the organization. Now the time that I can leave and start something else, or maybe focus on something else. Or definitely the organization gives you so much of things, but that's how I would say, that's how most of the ISECers and how our predecessors have also advised to us when we ask about them, okay, when do you think we should leave the organization? There's no particular time that can be 1 year, 2 years, can be 8 years too. Because I think the decision has to take based on what she mentioned. If you don't have anything like remaining, or if there's nothing that you can get out of the organization, that's the point that you need to realize. That's the realization point basically. You leave the organization, but you from the point you leave the organization, you will become an ambassador to the organization. Wherever you go,
You're replying right now.
yeah. Wherever you go, you should represent whatever that you took from the organization, because there are so much learnings that we had all these years. The people that we were, it's a small world that we basically lived in. It's a small world that we lived in, and whenever you go out, I'm not saying to talk about the organization, you have to do that too, but it's more about live what you already lived in this organization. Live like that. Take all those values that you learn from this organization. Take all the skills, behaviors that you perform, and continue that in whatever the organization that you're going to be a part of. Can be a corporate, can be a own startup, even in small gatherings in terms of leadership, in terms of talking, in terms of bringing people together, taking the best out of everyone that you work with. All of those factors that you learn, you perform, you train during the organization, have to perform. You will become an ambassador to the organization, and you will have to showcase those skills and everything.
So as like kind of a one final memory, or like if you have to think of some very like if you take over a journey, your AIESEC journey, what is one core memory that you all have like that's so emotional? It can be a song, or it can be some kind of a thing that you said, oh my god, I want to go back to that memory and relive that small part of it, like simply what is it?
Okay, so when it comes to MC terms specifically, we have an entire playlist.
Okay.
Any song in that playlist, we go back to that, time. Now, even if we go for a party, even if we go out, if there is a band, we always request the band to sing one of those songs. Same thing happened yesterday as well. So just a song can take us back to one whole year. It can replay all the memories that we have there.
I think one specific song or maybe one specific moment, I would say this was our final conference at NatCon. So we have never heard the song. Okay, by that time it was a Arabic song with the Egyptian song. It was called Zina. We have never heard about it.
We don't know what it means.
So we were.
Still?
We don't know right now, no, but we know the words. Like we can sing that.
Yeah. You want to sing?
No, not now. So it was like the moment. So we were blindfolded at that time. We were going in circles, something like so. Everyone was giving feedback to us, and the song was playing. We loved that song. Right? It was pretty emotional, and that was a moment. It's a realization moment again. We were going back to all the experiences, all the moments that we were being together. Very specific moment with the song. We have our MC song. Everyone knows that. Who knows us? Everyone knows the Code 3 is our song. But the specific moment was that, and another one, the entire planetary sang Code 3 on that day. Everyone was singing with us.
It was such a signature.
It was not us who was singing. It was the members who were singing. So it gave so much of. It was a wholesome moment for us because people around us singing the song that we love, and we had the best of our life. That was we were realizing at that time. Maybe people hated us in terms of operation, but they loved us as people because we love people. We
had good intentions.
Yeah, we brought so much of positive energy. We never go to entities and just shout at them or just we talk about it charity, and we do it with so much of love to the organization and to the people that we work with. And getting back it from the people that we work with was such an amazing feeling, I'd say. So that was the moment. If you want a very specific one, Zina and Otaganari singing Code 3 would be the moment.
And I think I can also agree with what Lishani told about meeting at antenna because I can still remember. I have a whole memory of being the Love Guru.
Yeah.
From NatCon, that's one thing I can remember. Okay, so to wrap this up, I want you to share, if you have to give one final message to everyone out there, what would it be from your whole AIESEC journey?
From my whole AIESEC journey is two things. I already mentioned it before. One thing is think about the future generation because you are going to be the hero of your successors, right? So think about the future generations. Whatever you do now, think about them actually. It's not about your term. Most of the results don't come within a term. Think about them. One. The other one is think about yourself. Always have that selfish reason when you're taking up roles in AIESEC because you need something as an incentive to give back to this organization. Right? You need some motivation. So I think those are like the biggest two messages that I can give, and that is something that I tell every AIESEC that I need as well.
I would say something different to that. Definitely can agree to what Lishani mentioned. I'd say so. This is something that I've shared with most of the people. So it was different to me. So I'm very much school oriented, result driven person. But what I learned through the experience was to enjoy and to appreciate small effects, which I was not used to. I want big result. I want big things to happen. But some said for some maybe you can call it failures or challenges or setbacks. And I learned to appreciate those small efforts that people have done, the things that I done, and I learned to appreciate the effort. So I think something that people need to learn through the experience would be appreciate the effort. Don't think about the result completely because not everyone can win. Just one person or two people can win in something. So there are plenty of other people. For example, becoming the best champion, I'd say there are 2,000, 3,000 people in the organization who wants to win that award. So only one single person can win that award. So you don't have to you have to be result driven, but at the same time you need to appreciate those small efforts because that's very important. And the other thing I would say, as I mentioned before, it's a life that you are living. It's a part of it's a small world that you are living, and it's going to be the same world that is going to be outside. It's a completely different thing at some point, but whatever that you learn from the organization, it will be useful because it will be the same type of people, it will be the same type of experiences at some point. So you need to become an ambassador. At the same time, you need to take all this experience and act upon. You have to take all the values from the organization, all the good and bad experience. That's very important. Not just good experience, all the good and bad experiences that you took from the organization that you have to go through the organization. You have to take all of that when you go out of the organization. I think your real journey starts when you leave the organization. It's not when you in the organization. Your real AIESEC journey starts when you leave this organization.
one thing I want to add to that is, I think this is something that IMC picked out during our term a lot. That is, I won't say I'm not competitive. I am competitive, but I always tell my people, whoever that worked with me, what I always tell them is, we don't work for awards. We don't work for the membership of our entity. We do the right thing, right? Even if we know that we are not going to win the award this time, even if we know that we might lose our entity's membership, we do the right thing. We don't submit fake documents. We don't submit fake numbers. We don't do fake approvals or anything. We just do it the right way. And I think during our term, whenever we noticed something like that, we were openly talking about it. And that was one of the reasons that we were classified as a bit of a strict MC as well, I would say. So always make sure you do the right thing all the time, because we are AIESECers. We need to live by the AIESEC values, because we talk about them a lot. Right? We talk about them in conferences, we talk about them with the members all the time, but if we don't live by them, it doesn't make sense at all.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like AIESEC values and what should define us
Yes.
as AIESECers. So I think that wraps up the episode for us today. Thank you so much for joining, and it's been quite interesting and also very inspiring as well. I mean, if I was a newbie, I'd probably take up like a lot of color roles. And that's what I'm really emotional myself. So thank you for joining us today, and with that, we're going to wrap up our episode today, and stay tuned for one last episode with us next time. So see y'all. Bye.